Yes. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Greetings, greetings to the planet. Peace, peace, peace. This is not right, not wrong. And this is just Ja. Obviously, I am speaking first because this is my episode.
JJ.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I am accompanied here by my comrades and a very, very, very special guest. D1, what's going on, Empress?
Hola, ¿cómo está? All's good. Life is good. Living, loving, enjoying all the great things. Glad to be here.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Rockin' I am. Appreciate you very much.
Yes, I am.
Yes, yes.
Courtesy of Just Job Productions.
Yes. Inspire Motivational Tees, www.inspiremotivationaltees.com. Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Y'all need to know this is not only is it inspirational and it looks good, it's also comfortable. I love it, Ja. It's beautiful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And she ain't lying because she don't you don't know sugarcoat nothing. If it was whack and uncomfortable, D1 would tell me. So
I would tell you and everybody because D1 don't be lying.
Wait, what?
You know what
easy, C1. Easy.
We'll fall back.
The King Doc Mark. What's going on, sir?
What's up, man? How's everything?
The dark always shines bright tonight.
Listen, it always does, man.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
all positive adjectives. Everything D1 said, plus more positive adjectives, plus some other stuff that describes goodness. That's all me. That's how I feel right now. I feel like an airplane.
Flying, soaring.
That's how I feel.
Indeed. And yes, I am excited tonight. I don't know if my comrades are excited as I am, but I'm very excited tonight.
I see you glistening.
Yes. You see me cheesing.
All the teeth is just coming out.
All the teeth.
All of it just glistening.
You know, they're not, they're a little off-white. They're not completely white.
Listen, and you look like you smell good tonight, too.
Yeah, you know.
Listen, he put cologne on his head. You know what I mean? It don't belong there, but I ain't mad at him. Rock out.
And you know what? You are very accurate, sir, because I came from the barber and he did spray some smell good on the dog. Yes, so you are accurate. Well, yes, people that are watching and people that are listening, we are on 92.6 The Spot. Hours between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Tune in on Fridays.
Every Friday.
Yes, every Friday. We have a very, very special guest. This is the Queen, my Empress, joining us in the chat. The Missus, my darling wife, my partner, my comrade, my love, Miss Angelia, Empress Angelia. How are you?
Hey. Hello, everyone. It's good
to be with you.
Yes.
Welcome.
Y'all are so much fun, and we just got started. We're only a few minutes in, and y'all are just laughing it up. Like, I love it.
More to come. More to come. Trust.
This is the vibes. This is how we do. This is the vibes. Yes.
It's so good to have you here. We are so happy to see you. It feels like you're always represented in the space in some form or fashion, but now you are in the physical.
Oh, thank you, Sister Queen, because I know you holding it down with these two masculine energies in the space.
Well, okay. I'm gonna leave C1 alone for a second.
He was all right. Okay, yeah.
I wanted her to say what she was gonna say. Don't hold back now.
I'm gonna be on my best behavior for the next 2 minutes.
Stop it.
Well, people, the reason why tonight's topic It's something that the four of us are practitioners of, that we subscribe to. We apply it to our daily lives, and we're just gonna have a conversation about it and just let it flow and express and maybe drop some jewels on what it means and how you can apply it to your life as well as we do ours. And the topic of tonight is spirituality, something that the four of us practice. This is a practice that my darling missus has brought me into the fold in, and I've been an avid practitioner as well as she. And I know that D1 and Mark are also avid practitioners of spirituality. They apply it to their daily lives as well, as do myself and the missus.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes. So we're gonna first start off, we're gonna go around and we're just gonna start out with defining what spirituality is. So that's gonna be the first thing, defining what spirituality is. So what is your interpretation or understanding of what spirituality is? We're gonna start with the guest of honor, my darling wife. Angelia, take it away, my dear. Yes.
Well, I can only tell you what it is to me. So, my philosophy is that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And in this life, this human experience, I know from my life experience, if I do this, then this will happen. But there's another part of me, my spiritual self, that I am learning to access the tools of that. And we talk about it a lot now. We talk about the law of attraction and, manifesting. As a spiritual being, I know that I'm energy, and as energy, I'm calling forth things to me that's coming from my consciousness. And so that helps me to see myself and transform. But it's also the power that I have to create the life that I want. So I see spirituality as learning those tools. People call it intuition, people call it miracle or in coincidences. And I think those are natural occurrences that I have yet or am learning how to access as a spiritual being. And so that's my practice. And that would be loving all things and doing certain things to have me experience myself as God on earth or goddess on earth.
All right, all right, all right. D1, go ahead, Empress.
So um the way spirituality looks in my life, similar to what Angie just said, is I can only speak about how it is for me. And that's part of what I like about spirituality, is that spirituality allows you to breathe into it. Spirituality allows for flexibility. Spirituality and my concepts allow for me to mold it how it fits. The foundation of spirituality for me is morality and doing good, and being good. It I don't like everybody though. My spirituality allows me to roll my eyes at people. My spirituality allows for my fullness of humanity. Um, my spirituality allows for me to make mistakes. My spirituality allows for imperfection. My spirituality allows me a way to understand the world, myself, and the people around me, my community. My spirituality allows me a way to understand how to manage when things are not going well, when things are going bad, when things are confusing, when things are sad, when things are heavy. It also allows me a way of morphing and manifesting. It allows me to breathe into it. That's my spirituality.
I like that part, D1. Spirituality allows. I like that. Like
Yeah,
that.
indeed, indeed.
I like that point. Spirituality allows.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. King Mark, what say you?
I think it's darkness. you know, I had to put dark in there, not dark with a K, but dark with a C.
Mhm.
Of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
I just had to throw that in there. Spirituality, to me, coming from someone that lives in my dreams. So I am a dreamer. I dream a lot. I think a lot, and I live in that space because I recognize that all of this here where we live at, this by no way, shape, form, or fashion can be a reality because this sucks. So by you being spiritual, recognizing things, this allows you to learn. And you can't possibly believe that this is how we are supposed to be. This is not how we're supposed to live. This is not how we're supposed to act. There's not one day I wake up and think that this is really the truth. So me living in my dreams and this spirituality, keep in mind this is separate of religion. I don't want to offend anybody practices or beliefs, but spirituality is what carries me. So any and everything that I believe, I have to live this by example. So whatever it is that I believe, this goodness and everything that comes from me, I have to be an example of it. Other people have to see it, unless I'm lying to myself. And the first person I need to be honest to is me. So by me recognizing this reality and all of this out here is not what I think this should be, they say be the change that you want to see in the world. So every day I try to figure out how I could do that, whether big or small, whether on a grand scale or just minute. Just spirituality is we say, Mark, you should do this. Mark, you should do that. Something simple, just walking across the street, aiding someone across the street, someone in the supermarket, may not have the money to purchase something, I'm behind them, I'll pay for it. Just all these different things that come to mind so I can contribute to this goodness. Now, sometimes I might think otherwise, right? D1 said it allows her to roll her eyes. You know, sometimes I wish people dead. I really do. But I have to come back from that. You know, I have to pray on that. I don't want to manifest these thoughts into it happening and things of that nature. But, you know, every day won't be harmony. Every day won't be harmonious. You're going to have these things, but if you stick to it, your spirituality, it'll get you to do some things. Sometimes it may take a little longer. So spirituality to me is being honest with yourself and recognizing that the change starts with you and you can have other people make that change also.
Dig it, dig it, dig it, dig it. All great meanings and interpretations. I would like to say for myself, spirituality for me is well, first I'll start with say spirituality. My interpretation of that is of the spirit. So when I say of the spirit, that means that means recognition. And what I recognize is that I am spirit. I am beyond this incarnation of Jaja. I am spirit in this form of Jaja. And spirit means that I am a formation, part of the creation of the Most High God. Spirituality for me is authenticity. So that means no behavior modifying, but being authentic and mean recognizing how you feel, processing how you feel, and letting it flow, and recognizing that spirit is bigger than any other thing. Any other thing that's physical, any other thing that's of the ego, because the ego is different from the ego. The ego is a representation of you, the person, ideals, philosophies, trauma, um, defense mechanisms. That's all under the umbrella of the ego. And spirit is much bigger and higher than that. The spirit is an emanation of what the creation of the Most High God is, and we're all emanations of that. Um, so, and also in spirituality, um, it's understanding, like Mark said, and what a lot of y'all said, um, the the outward result is the outward result is the outward appearance is the result of the inner workings. So it emanates outward, and the outward result is the information of how you're working and where your level of consciousness is at. So I understand. So that's my interpretation of spirituality in a nutshell. So it and I'm also in agreement of all three of your interpretations. I add that to my definition as well. So it's all good. So
I'm with you, Ja. I have to say, like, every definition resonated with me.
yeah,
Every
yes,
single one.
yes, every single
Same.
one. Yes.
Same.
Same. So in knowing that, I wanted to also ask, were there times where at what point did each of you recognize that um the power of spirit worked with you? Was there ever a time where you was in a situation where it was challenging and the power of spirit worked for you and you realized, yeah, this is what works for me? That moment where you say, yes, this what I'm practicing is what working for me. Was there ever a moment that sticks out for you that was challenging? I know there's many, but you could think come up with any moment that was challenging where you said, when I practice this form of knowing myself, it's worked out tremendously. Oh, we'll start with you, D1.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. We're gonna start with you. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
D1.
I was about to sit back and get cozy for a second.
You gotta be,
Where's your-
you gotta be on your toes in here. You know, we all
I
gotta be on
tell
our toes in
you,
here.
like, okay, with
Yeah,
all
yeah.
right, on
Mhm.
your toes. Um, you know, no, I can't think of a particular moment.
Mhm.
I think I just at one point reflected back and was like, wait, how did I get here? How did I how did I get to this point of where I am?
Mhm.
And I really can't think of any particular moment. And what I think I did realize is it's always been innate to me in
Mhm.
some form or fashion.
Mhm.
So my first name actually translates to soul in Spanish.
Mhm.
And I hated my first name growing up. Like I would get teased about it and I was just like, And then at some point in life, I said, I'm actually okay with my first name.
Mhm.
And an episode or two ago, I talked about my grandmother. I'm named after my grandmother. And I remember thinking, this is within the past couple of years. My grandmother, the story goes that my grandmother said to my mother when my mom was pregnant with me, so my first name is Alma. She said, you will name her Alma or you'll name her nothing. And I
No, that's good.
remember thinking, when I started to hear that story, I was like 8, 9, or 10 when I started to hear that story. And I was like, I would have liked to been named Kimberly. Like that would have been great for me. I like Kims.
Yeah.
Um,
Me too.
right. I bet you do. And DMX don't never say Alma in none of his rhymes. You don't never when he, you know, anyway.
Uh, uh,
DMX is part of my spirituality. So there's that.
Duly noted.
Dig it. It's self-definitive. It's your spirituality, right?
It is.
Listen,
Dig
it
it.
is.
Dig
It
it.
is.
No
As,
judgment.
as a side note, he struggled and he had a lot of demons, but he was
Facts.
also extremely spiritual
he
from what
definitely
I could
was.
see.
Yeah, he definitely was for sure.
Yeah. But so I used to hate the name. And so I didn't use it at some point in my like high school and stuff, and college, we're not using this. And at some point I was like, oh, I actually like the name. And if there is any point that I could identify, I would probably identify that when I started to use my first name. I didn't know it then, but now I look back and I'm like, my grandmother was so wise. It's almost like it was preordained for me to step into this space that whatever the space is that I'm holding. And it's like she knew it. You will name her Alma or you'll name her nothing. And she was very proud of her name, and she was very proud of the Spanish meaning of her name being soul. So if there is any moment, I guess I would label that.
No, that's dope. I love it. That's dope. That's dope. I actually have a similar story, but well, I'm not gonna get into that right now. Go ahead. Go ahead,
Cliffhanger.
No, go ahead. No, I'm gonna share it, but go ahead, dear.
I, I think similar to what was just said is that it's kind of like a culmination of things that happen. But I know, like, I've been on the path consciously since I was about 10. Like I was always questioning, God, and what is that? And where do people go when they die? Always. And John knows, because he's been on the journey, that I've practiced probably every religion you could ever think of, and some, and dragged him along with me.
Yes.
So he has some stories to tell.
Look
But
at
so I've
Josh's face.
John's like, yep, I remember Buddhism. Yep. I
remember
remember.
getting
Oh,
dressed
ask
up.
him about the Japanese religion, Set Your No Way, that I took him to the service for. That was a whole.
Oh, when you said exploration, you meant exploration.
I mean, the sister has
Nah.
been around the world. I practiced Islam, Kabbalism, all of that. But anyway, so I've known that I've always been a searcher, and at some point met my master teacher and had the kind of my intellectual philosophy around what it is. Like when I say that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, like that human experience comes from my mind, my lived experience. I make decision, but then there's a higher self, which John talked about, that that part of me that is beyond the incarnation, called Angelia, that then can do the things or have access to the things that Jesus was known to do. Now I know people may have offense to that, but it's my interpretation. And so over the years, I'm clear that those two parts of me operate, and that I want to access that other part, because that's the manifester, the humanitarian, and all of that. But I don't always manifest it, and I don't always access it, because I'm living the human life, which had me want to curse people out in traffic and all of that. So the moment, so I always know, and there's a lot of sayings that bring you to truth. So people always talk about let go, let God, surrender. And I think the moment that I knew that that higher part of me, like that part is on a mission for the planet, was at my mom's funeral. So at my mom's funeral, when you do church funerals, they have it all. The pastor's telling you get 10 minutes here and we're going to do this. And then he got to do the sermon and bring people into church. Well, I decided I was speaking for my mom, and all during the time before it, stuff was just downloading to me, like just memories and things and thoughts and all of that. So when I got on the stage, or whatever you call it, at the church, and I'm speaking, it was a moment that I was not Angelia. Like something was coming through me. I couldn't even really tell that I was talking to people. Like I knew that I was having an out-of-body experience, and the flow was just like, it was just coming. And at one point I snapped out of it, which meant that my human self was like, oh, you better get off this stage, because I could feel the pastor coming towards, trying to shut it down, because I was on there for a while.
Oh.
But I kept going. And I kept going because that part of me kept flowing. And I just wasn't present in my body. And when I finished, though, was when I understood, because people were coming to me and say, oh my God, are you a minister? You did the eulogy. And he backed down. So I don't know what he saw when I turned and looked and kept going. But it was in that moment that I understood, like what my teacher says, like we are a channel of the divine. We have everything that we do is a unique contribution to that. And as long as we allow ourselves to be channeled and not filtered by what we think we should say, what we think other people think we should say, then the divine comes through and does what it's supposed to do. And the funny thing, the aftermath of that is someone taped it. And when I saw the tape, I critiqued it I was like, oh my God, I said, and I was cringing, right? But then that goes to show you again, let go, let God. There's no editing when spirit comes through. Just like all of you said, it's allowing for the bigness to come through. And if I let my human self do it, I wanted every word perfect. I wanted, and that's not what this is about. It just isn't. So that was the moment that I understood. Now, do I recreate it on top? No, I'm still working on it. But I knew in my being that was what it felt like to access my higher self and begin to do the work as the unique stamp of Angelia.
Nice,
Wow.
nice.
That's pretty powerful.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I mean, and that's coming from a wealth of knowledge, since you said you had this spiritual journey with all of these different religions. Now, you may not have necessarily planted your flag in any one of them particularly, but you're going to pull something from each of them.
Yes.
And once you learn whatever it is you learn, you still got all that with you. So this is a lot of knowledge that you're pulling in and taking a little bit from each one. I mean, I would like to think that as far apart as they may be, each and every single one of them may have something in common. I'm not necessarily sure what that is, but it may be something in common. I mean, the common theme, the end all should be whatever it is, it leads you to your salvation.
Yep.
I would like to think that that's the common theme, but that spiritual journey, you learn a lot. And I take it from Josh's expression, he learned a lot too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, that set you in a way. I was like, I'm not feeling this.
Yeah, we were in there singing, like, you remember the old cartoons where they had the bouncing ball? I'm telling my age, where they had a bouncing ball that showed each word, and it was like that.
I still remember. Sing the song, Josh. Sing the song.
I don't remember the bouncing ball song. It was
Yes, you
I don't know, it was very corny. What is corny? Right?
What is corny?
What is corny?
What is corny?
Respectfully.
What is corny?
Respectfully. King Mark, what was the moment for you, brother?
Like D1 said, I don't necessarily have a moment. I was always inquisitive about all of this, everything out here, sun, moon, stars. I don't know how many questions I used to ask my mom and dad about this. Sometimes it used to just make me cry knowing we was gonna die. I think I was about 9, 10 years old when I realized that we were gonna die, and I kept asking them why over and over. But with this whole spirituality and spiritual things that we're speaking of, we have to understand that there are some questions we just won't be able to answer. You understand? Some things are all beyond our comprehension, way beyond it. We just won't understand it, and it'll do us a disservice if we assume that this is the answer. So I've come to that reality. I'm fine with it, but you can continue to search. You understand? And you could continue to try to seek out answers and let it help you, like I said, bringing you towards your salvation. So not necessarily when I found it out, but I'll just provide 3 examples and what this meant to me in regards to spirituality and just thinking. So today I had a speaking engagement in Staten Island. I needed to go to the office first, speak to my staff, do a couple of things with them. And where I work at in Long Island City, parking is horrific. When I tell you it's horrific, it's horrific. So normally the people that park every day, they normally arrive around 6 a.m. to look for parking. Not get up at 6, arrive at 6 a.m. They're around there looking, doing the circle thing. Wherever it is, they may be a mile away, different direction. Parking is horrific. So I dread driving to work. I probably drive to work once or twice a year, if that. So yesterday, me knowing that I had to drive to work, of course, I had to get up a lot earlier than I used to. Y'all know when I get up because I text you guys.
Mhm.
I may be getting up earlier, so be ready. So
Don't worry, my phone stays on do not disturb just because of you.
well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So last night, knowing I had to drive, I just put it in my head that I was going to find a parking spot. And I had envisioned the exact parking spot that I wanted to have. It's less than a block from the job. It's just right around the corner from a building that's across the street. It's the ideal place to park so I could get in my car, head to Staten Island. Had this all in my mind, set up and everything. Went to sleep, had my alarm set for 4:25. I woke up before the alarm, got up, went through the whole ritual, got in my car, headed to work. Don't you know I parked in that same exact parking spot?
Of course you did.
Same exact parking spot that I had envisioned.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And ordinarily, this is not a thing to find parking somewhere else. But if you worked where I worked and you knew how parking was, it's a big deal. So you go upstairs, you tell people, listen, I found parking across the street. Hell no, never. That's how bad it is.
Mhm.
Found it, pulled right into the spot. Wow. That's just one of those moments, really make you scratch your head.
Mhm.
Second moment I'll mention, 9 or 10 years old. This gentleman that my parents knew, his name was Jerome Green. He was a reverend. In our particular era where we live, I think he was an assemblyman, something like that. So he used to always have these Bible classes at his house. A lot of people come, they read the Bible. I think it was pastors there, different people of that nature. So anyway, I was there one day with my brother and sister. My mom was there, me, my brother, my sister. So it was a lady there that was saving people. You know, that's a big word when we're coming up. He's saved. You got to be saved.
Mhm.
That's the
Mhm.
word that they use. You
Mhm.
need to get saved, right? Your soul is not cleansed, it's dirty.
Yeah.
You need to be saved.
Yes.
Why
You know what that word?
this sounds like it's gonna
Planet
become a Coming
clean.
to America skit.
No,
Are
no,
you
no.
not
Not yet.
okay?
So we see people doing that. So my mom asked my sister first. She said, "You want to do that?" My sister said, "No, I don't want to do that." My mom asked my brother, said, "You want to do that?" "No, I don't want to do that." I said, "I'll do it." I don't know what's going on. It was more out of curiosity. So I sat down. This beautiful lady, tall, long hair, beautiful lady. My mom was standing next to her. She put my hand on my forehead. First thing I remember, and then she started praying. A few minutes into that, I don't remember anything else, right? I knew I was crying because my mom was like, "Mark, it's okay." And I was like, "What happened?" And the lady said, "You saved." I said, "Well, what happened that I don't remember?" She said that you were speaking in tongue. This is what she said, right? 9, 10 years old. This is more so out of curiosity. Now, whatever it is that meant, or whatever it is that did, or whatever it is that was supposed to be that happened at that moment, to this day, I'm still trying to figure that out. You understand? I don't know what that did in terms of spirituality, in terms of religion, in terms of all this. Maybe that meant something. Maybe that lady was someone that could do that. But to this day, I'm trying to figure it out. And I asked my mom that. My mom, she's a Jehovah's Witness. And she's been a witness since I was probably about 13 years old. So a lot of the inquiries and things like that came from her. And we spoke about religion and other people that I build with. And she said that didn't mean anything. I said, wow. I said, so why was I speaking in tongue? Why was I crying? She didn't really have an answer for that. So that's just something I'm really scratching my head over 39 years, no, 43 years later. I'm still wondering what it is that happened there or if it did anything to me in my spirituality and me being Mark Mills. Third example I'll provide, I'll give you the short story because this story could be very long. So as you all know, I may have mentioned this on the show before, there's no such thing as the right place, right time. or there's no such thing as you being in the wrong place. You are always where you are supposed to be. Always. So I got invited out to this barbecue out in Brooklyn. This guy who used to work on my job. Real cool dude. He used to always have these barbecues. They play cards, the works. Mark, come on out. Come on out. I'm busy. I got something to do. I'll be out there. Give me a moment. I kept putting this thing off for about a year. So, oh my God, this dude gonna keep asking me to come out there. I finally went. I drove out there. Oh, you made it. Meet the missus, him, family, brother-in-law, a whole bunch of people out there. I was like, listen, man, I need a minute. Where's the beers? He said, go get it out the fridge. Make yourself at home. I go into the kitchen, go inside the fridge. I grab the beer and I'm about to leave. This other guy walked into the kitchen. I believe this was his nephew, right? So I say, hey, what's going on? How you doing? Mention his name. He said, hey, what's going on? Looked like he had a whole lot going on in here, right? He said, do you believe in God? This was his first question. I never met this guy in my whole life. I said, wow. Okay, I said, yeah. So speed the story up. He started mentioning about things that's going on in his life that make him want to end it. He's done with all this. He figured out this is the time right now for him to end this, right? So I just mentioned a couple of things to him, just pull some information of him and just give him some words to kind of say, well, listen, you should live for A, you should live for B, you should live for C, you should live for D. So during the course of this whole time, the guy who hosted this, he never came and said, man, what's taking so long to get the beer? I'm talking to this guy for like 10, 15 minutes. I never met him. No one came in and said, what's taking you so long to get the beer? Long story short, how it ended was he said, you just saved my life. Never met him ever. I shook his hand, gave him a hug. I said, listen, God bless you. Went back out, drank the beer. And I never told my homeboy what happened. So again, I was meant to be in that particular place to speak to him about that. If that means anything, I'm not exactly sure, but it's just certain things that happen in your life that you have to recognize that something is going on, something is happening. And a lot of words people use when they describe spirituality, what do they say? We're all vessels, right? That word comes up a lot. I'm a vessel for this. I'm a vessel for that. It depends on what you're a vessel for. So I think at that particular moment with the third example I provided, I was a vessel for him. Whatever he took from that, that's what I gave to him at that moment. I'm assuming God wanted me to provide him with that information so he could live.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
That's powerful. That's powerful, brother. That's powerful. You know, to that point, man, is my belief that we're this is one big giant chessboard, and we're all players in it, and 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 the Most High moves his pieces in certain places, move pieces to certain places to aid and to aid other pieces, to help them, to motivate them, to help them or carry them through whatever challenges or dilemmas that they're going through. And I think that was a great example of that. You know, I think, you know, when you sharing that story, made me think about how people pray to God for salvation or for whatever outcome that they need when they go through a challenging times, and it comes in the appearance of uh, a beneficial circumstance or a person coming in to aid them, and that was the assignment the Most High was given to that person to come in at that particular time to aid that person through that challenging circumstances. So we're all pawns and vessels, so to speak, and we're moving around to be at a certain place at a certain time. And I definitely agree with you. Nothing is coincidental. There's no right place, right time, nor there's a wrong place, wrong time. It's just the moment. It's just the moment that needed to happen. It was the moment that had to happen. And for that young brother, that was the moment for him where you became his salvation. And that happens a lot. And that is the assignment. And I think that is the assignment as us in physical form, to carry out the mission of the Most High to be each other's salvation. And in certain moments, we are each other's salvation, and this is how he's using us to play this game. But he's playing the game against the ego, because the ego will have you believe that um, what you think or what you feel or what you fear is real. That's the ego's job. So you sharing that story, I envision this big giant chessboard, and then it's Most High on one side and the ego on the other side, and then moving to pieces. And God is like, ha, nice move, but checkmate. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And spirit and the ego, they're having fun with it too. Like they like, I got this guy. He's depressed. He's about to kill himself. Put him over here. He's like, yeah, I see that move. I'm gonna put Mark over here though. Checkmate. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
So it's that kind of that's how I envision it. So just to add to your point that there's no such thing as coincidence. So, but D1, I have a similar story with the name thing. It took me a long time to realize how powerful my name was. To make a long story short, I too hated my name. I was made fun of about my name. It wasn't until I reached high school that my name was acknowledged and celebrated, for lack of a better term, and that gave me the confidence to embrace my name and be proud of my name. But yeah, for a long period of time, I hated my name as well. I didn't like it. It was so bad to the point where I lied to, growing up in my neighborhood, I lied to the kids on the block. I told them I went to court and changed my name to James. I was telling everybody.
Wow.
Yes. So yes, I told them I went to court, got my name changed, and my name is now James. And I used my mother's maiden name. My mother's maiden name was Sterling. Maiden name. Jesus Christ, maiden name was Sterling. So I said, so that was my alias, James Sterling. Not that I was so cool, James Sterling.
That's a pretty dope alias.
Yeah, that definitely got a ring to it.
Yeah.
I'm like one of the Mad Men characters. James Sterling.
James
Yeah.
Sterling.
No,
I can
there's
see that.
definitely a trench coat involved with James. For sure.
50s, 60s all the way.
Yeah.
So do you want I could relate to that. So I lived with that moniker for quite a few years, James Sterling. You know what I'm saying? So I
Hold on, let me look that up real quick and see if there's any open cases, some warrants for James Sterling. Okay.
Who's
James
looking for
Boogie.
James Sterling? Who's looking for?
Yeah, man. That was my alias for quite some time. And then but every time I introduced myself to people when I was younger, I used to tell them that my name was Jay. Also, I just say my name is Jay. And then it was one time in high school, one of my people's, she asked me, she said, what did J stand for? And I told her. And then she said, wow, that's a nice name. That's a beautiful name. And I was like, I heard positive reaction about my name for the very first time. I was like, wow, okay. So that made me feel good. Like, wow, okay. You know what I'm saying? But of course,
That changed it all around, huh?
that changed it all around. So shout out to her. But she but yeah, but I went to a high school with creative folks, so creative people like all that interesting, eccentric, exotic stuff. So they tell them my name is Jaja. It's like, oh, your name is Jaja? Oh.
But you know that when I'm hearing it, is that people tell you, and I believe this is true, that the name you give, even though the person that named you may not know the story or why they name you, is because you're gonna live into the meaning of that name. Like that's part of the journey. Like when I hear, like Mark, you saying, like, it's a mystery why this happened, right? Like I feel like this life is a mystery, and these are puzzles that we're putting together, and there's science and there's literature and there's all of these things to help us like figure out like, wow, that happened.
Mhm.
You know, so that we can access that higher self that's connected to the source of all things. So I feel like, you know, we're living this mystery, and the challenge is to not get sucked into the matrix where you lose the fact that I'm here to solve the mystery of me.
Mm.
I am. And I could get sucked up in the matrix where I become the person looking for the marks or the jajas or the D1s, right? So, you know, and every religion will lead us all to that place. But it's a mystery that each of us uniquely have to take. It's like the, as they say in Egyptian mysticism, the hero's journey, right? So I see it all purposeful. Everything in the universe to me is purposeful for us to really step into our true selves, you know, like nothing is left for chance. And it works so beautifully. So beautifully. Even when it doesn't look beautiful.
Even when it even when Mark has too many buttons open on his shirt, it still all works.
It's all good, you know, we can work with.
It's all good.
It's
But
hot. It's hot.
listen, I just want to take a second
But
right now.
how does that tie into spirituality?
I've been trying to figure out how to say
I'm
something
trying to
about
figure
it
it
for
out
about
too.
since we started. I was like, how am I going to talk about Mark and these buttons on his shirt?
But
It's a
you
shift
did.
of consciousness that occurred. Like,
Right, you
it
see
was
that?
first we was here,
You see?
then
You
it's
see?
the shirt.
It's a shift of consciousness.
The-
But wait a second, y'all. Dark Mark, keep your opinion to yourself. Don't nobody want to hear you. So we have Ja, which translates, or Jaja, which translates to God. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep.
My
Right.
first name is Alma, which translates to soul.
Yep.
Mhm.
Angelia, I'm assuming a meaning behind your name is angel.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
then we have Mark, dark Mark, the dark always shines bright. If we are not supposed to all be in these boxes,
Mhm.
It's no coincidence.
No coincidence. Big facts.
All
That's-
divine design.
that's bananas to me.
Yeah. It's
All
it's-
divine design. Trust and believe. Mm.
and it's awesome to have the awareness of it. And that's the beauty of practice of spirituality, having the awareness, and the awareness to understand the concept and your assignment, so to speak. Your assignment is given to you by name. At least for me, that's how I look at it now. And, you know, Ange and I talk about that all the time. Our assignment was given to us through our name. Of course, that's not to say it took me a minute to realize that, because like I said, I hated my name, so it took me a minute to realize that. So my ego, which I want to get into also. So my ego / story in defense of that is being small, being less than, right? So that translates to me hating myself by way of hating my name, trying to cut off my assignment by changing my name to James, something ordinary. Although it's James Sterling did sound cool, but still, it pales in comparison to the powerful name I was assigned to. So I'm cutting myself off of my power. I'm
Yep.
cutting myself off of my assignment. And so that's my personal gain. My personal gain that I need to trudge on through my journey. And it's my mission to experience myself as the Most High and carry myself as the Most High, because I was assigned that name to do so. But my ego is essentially James Sterling. Matt.
Wow, that's a good way to name it, so you know when to show up. Like, James,
Yeah.
instead of get thee behind me, devil.
Yeah.
Get behind me, James.
Right. That's my internal battle. So that's my internal chessboard, my internal higher self sitting with my internal ego playing this board game in my journey. And then for me, once I conquer one level, there's gonna be another level. You know, James Sterling ain't done yet. You know, James gonna come up with more shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, okay, you got that round. Ah. Ah. You know what I'm saying? Now you lost your job and you ain't got no money. Ah.
You wanna do like this.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do now? Ja. Right? You know what I'm saying? So it's
Wow,
like,
James Sterling really is like a villain,
yeah,
huh?
yeah. You know what I
Alter
mean?
ego.
Alter
Alter
ego.
ego.
Oh yeah, there you
Or
go.
the ego.
Alter ego. There you go. Uh-huh.
Yeah. But that's kind of the way I think of, like, I don't think of ego the way um a lot of people think of it now. Like I actually embrace my ego, and
Okay.
I think my challenge, the way I hold my spirituality is, I think my challenge is to join the pieces of my ego. I do believe in an alter ego, right? And I think the issue is not, I'm not interested in an ego death. I'm interested in an ego fullness. And I feel like I can feel when my ego is fractured. I can feel when my sense of self is fractured. So
Mhm.
for me, and I have a lot of different sides of myself. There was one job that I was working at that some of my coworkers would be like, "Oh, this is Tamika, right? This is like," because there are different ways that I present myself in different spaces. And so for me, my goal is to bring all of my pieces back together again,
Dig
Yeah,
it. I like
I
as
that.
love
close as
that.
possible in this lifetime.
Yes. I think too, I think that we should be able to coexist, but even master the ego, because I feel like my higher self is the most knowledgeable. Like it's coming from my heart that knows the journey for all the lifetimes that I live. So it's wiser than what I think my ego is. But I definitely think the ego is very purposeful and necessary as you navigate this world. And I often think when people say pull yourself together, like I feel like it's those two halves. Like if I pull those two halves together, I'm all that right there, right? Because, like you said, your ego takes a stand, your ego is brave, your ego knows how to like chart the environment and say, oh no, we gotta be like this. We gotta be Angie right here, not Angelia, right? So I love that part that you said, like, yes, we can't get rid of it. Some people think that you should, but I think, yeah, more power for you is all of that. All of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
think, Dark, did you
yeah.
unbutton another button? What is that?
Nah, yeah, you the host, man. Holla at you peoples, man.
Listen.
On another note,
Angie, I'm so sorry you have to be
um,
subjected to this. I'm so sorry.
so this is more speaking towards the host, since Ja mentioned this topic. And since we're talking about spirituality, we're talking about, attracting the same energy or like energy or similar energy. You understand? So when you see someone before they even speak, you've already met them because your
Mhm,
energy meets theirs.
mhm,
So you're gonna have something in your mind that goes on, or a trigger, depending upon, way before the person even speak, to say something is wrong or something is right.
mhm,
Right? So the first time I had met Ja, I forgot where we was, but it was in a loft space that one of our fellow brothers Z had. This is our first time meeting, having one of our meetings. This is a very long time ago.
mhm.
So, we talking to each other, networking, things to that nature. So I was like, hey, what's going on? How you doing, man? I'm Mark. He was like, hey, Ja. I was like, all right, cool. Where you from? He was like, yo, I'm in Jersey. It's like, so he has to be corny, right? So
Respectfully.
Respectful.
no disrespect.
Yeah, no
No
disrespect.
disrespect.
Respectfully.
Respectfully.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
Uh,
Okay, right? Just goes to show you, you shouldn't, make assumptions. So as we continue on with these meetings, getting to know the other brothers that involved with it, you know, I found out he was from the X too, right? Conversations come up, he's from Soundview. I thought you said he was from Jersey. Nah, that's where I rest at. Oh, okay. Now he cool now, right? So when we used to always have our meetings, right? Ja was always one that started it with the prayer,
Mm,
right? And he always the one that ended it with the prayer.
mm,
And every single time, maybe, you know, unless he didn't show up, it always fell to him to provide that spiritual food.
mm.
Now, from the time we said the opening prayer and we time to say the closing prayer, we talking about everything on the face of the earth. 90% of the time it was about women. You
Mm.
understand? Nah, but I'm saying that to say that it wasn't just malicious talk. Well, she did this, she did that. It was building each other up. And everybody have a different situation of where they were at. Some of them may have been in complete harmony, but we still soaking it up. Some of them relationship may have been on the rocks. We still soaking it up. But everybody left with something. We talk about the job, soak it up. Well, listen, maybe you should do this, maybe you should try this, right? So from the moment Ja opened with the prayer, that set forth how everything is going to flow, whatever it is we're going to speak about. And then the closing prayer, that sent you off on your way with that strength that you left with. So it just came full circle. So I truly don't understand why he chose this topic. And him saying that he lives that, he truly does. And this is the same thing I said at his birthday party. That says a lot about a person when you become friends with his friends. You understand? Because people don't just generally do that. These is his peoples. They're not my peoples.
Mhm.
But they became that. So that says a lot about his electricity, his magnetism, and the energy of him put forth to all the other people around him, and they just give off the same energy. It says a lot. So kudos to Ja for picking this topic and just being who you are, brother.
Much love, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So it's just a BX bias that you got. So you thought.
I mean,
Renee.
Jersey, yeah, this dude gotta be corny, man.
How
But see
Mark
how
become the
quick,
keeper of
see how
cool.
quick it switched.
If it ain't BX is
He was
whack.
like, "Yo, I'm from Soundview. Oh, you
Yeah.
from South? Oh, okay.
Yeah. The face lit up.
This is my man.
He was like, I'm from the web. What? I used to be around there.
Oh, okay.
You know
Full
Washington Ave?
vein.
I used to be on
Full
Washington Ave.
vein.
Oh, snap, Washington Ave. Word. That did conversation.
Everything changed.
Yeah, that conversation did happen. You used to be on Washington Ave? I said, yeah, I used to be around there. My god brother lived over there. Yeah. So I feel you. If it ain't BX, then it's next.
I like that. If it ain't BX, is next.
Or somewhere in New York City. Even if he'd have said Staten Island. I mean, I know that's a foreign country. You need a passport to go there. But he's like, damn, you gotta cross the water to get you gotta cross the water to get to Staten Island too. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
For sure, man, for sure. But but as far as the how did for you, I definitely appreciate that, man. Love you back. But how for you, Mark, the balance with your spirit and ego, how were you able to how are you able to navigate that, throughout your own personal journey? Is it how I describe or how D1 and Angie describe? Because D1 and Angie, I gotta say your perspectives is great. Something I definitely need to take a look at. Where I'm looking at it as opposite sides, and both of you are making a point. You're not going to get rid of the ego, so the goal really should be to the spirit to be in concert with the ego. You know what I'm saying? And that's the union. That's the real union right there, instead of being on polar opposites. So I thank you, Queens, for bringing that up.
I
But
like your analogy though, because I think that it certainly can be that. I think it can be a chess game, and they can be on opposite sides. And I think that's what so many of us experience in this world of materialism is we experience a split. And then it's like, it's either or.
Yeah.
But Mark has used this word twice, and y'all know I don't like to agree with him. I don't like to do nothing. But
Yes, she does.
no, I don't.
Yes, she does.
No, I don't.
Yes, she does.
But you use the word harmony. And
Yeah.
that word is really powerful for me. And that is like, that's part of my spiritual foundation as well, is to find harmony, is to find these, all the places where things that seem like they shouldn't exist together can coexist, all the paradoxes. Like, even if we take it to simple, the way we might all agree on this, we probably do, is race is a construct, right?
Yep.
And even if we take something like race, like white and black, if we figure out what harmony looks like there, it's a whole other experience. It doesn't have to be white or black, right? It is about harmony. And so that's why I do like your chess example, because I feel like there is this split that happens still. And what would it look like to join the sides, to join the forces?
On the forces.
And
Yeah.
I think you even said it in the beginning, D1, when you talked about that allowing, because that's the space where everything exists. So it's going to look this way, it can look that way. And the only time I think when people get in conflict is when they become opposition to it and there's no harmony. So it's like, I think about when you see people, maybe quote unquote celebrities, and something happens that they do something right, and but there's another side of that person. Maybe that was the ego, in opposition, but we don't allow for that other side, that there's another side. They're not all that, they're not all this. And so that whole idea which you brought up about allowing, to me, that feels like the expansive kind of position, right? I know that my ego can do this, and I know my higher self does this. And when the two meet and they dance, we in harmony, right?
Beautiful thing.
That's right.
It's
Beautiful.
a thing of beauty.
Indeed. Well, we definitely could talk about this all night, especially with the four of us on here. But we're about to run out of time. But I want to end it with again with you, Brother Mark. Just share your experience and how you balance your spirit and ego throughout your journey. What's it like for you?
I don't even know if I'm balancing it, or there's some sort of balance or equilibrium or something like that. I'm still trying to figure this out. As I move along, like I said, I'm a spiritual person. People ask me. I don't have any particular religion or anything that I go to. I truly understand that it's definitely a higher power. I pray to God to continue to have faith, and the things that I have prayed for has come to fruition. So it's not something that I would say I'm necessarily battling with. But one of the things I probably would need to look into myself more with is probably just as it relates to interest, because I lose interest in things very quick. I lose interest in people very quick. It just happens. Why I don't know. So that may be something like more so on a spiritual level. What is it about this person that you no longer connect with, and you just want to move on to someone else, especially as it relates to relationships. So it may be something deeper to that. Maybe I'll find an answer or within, but it's not really necessarily a balance, I would say, in regards to me. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure this out. Some of the questions that I said will probably never be answered in this life. I'm not necessarily trying to answer it, but I just ponder these things for a long time and think about it over and over and over and over. You understand? Read a lot about the stars and the universe and all these things outside of Earth and planet in the universe. The universe is expanding, and these astronomical speeds, the likes, I mean, these are commas like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 commas. This is how fast we're supposed to be moving. And Pluto's no longer planet Mars, all these type of things. Sometimes you just got to really scratch your head like, wow. But I am here right now. You understand? Not right, not wrong. every Friday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. 92.6 The Spot. But I'm here right now in this universe, in this space right now, speaking to you guys about spirituality, where I'm supposed to be. So it's a lot of things to just ponder. I think I do the most harm just asking myself all these questions and not having the answer to it. Knowing I know the answer, that it might not be answered, it just keep coming up over and over. And just having a lot of conversation about it. I have a lot of conversations about spirituality with my daughter, with my mom. Me and Cha talk about these things. Another friend of mine, he's an Israelite. We have very deep conversations about that. Probably because, I disagree with a lot of the things that he says. Not that he's trying to convince me, but it goes very deep. And he's never once said, well, you are wrong, because you can't say that. But, it definitely gets very sensitive. And I'm not gonna say anything to disrespect him because that's his belief, but and just learning from all those different situations. And like I said, however it is, I could be a vessel. So I don't really know how to answer that and say it's a battle. Maybe when we do this episode again, I'll have a more definitive answer. But right now, I'm still working through it.
Dig it, dig it. That's as real as it get, and that is what spirituality is all about. People being authentic, and that was an authentic answer. Indeed, indeed. But as I said before, or especially with the four of us here, we can literally talk for hours on this thing. But we are
Easily.
short on time, and that is the end of the show. And I would like to thank my beloved queen, the missus. I
Thank you, Angie.
Angie,
Oh,
thank you.
I enjoyed being with you all.
Yes,
Thank
Many thanks, truly.
mi esposa.
En español.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yes, yes. And I am just not right, not wrong, on behalf of the Empress D1 and Dark Mark, where there's light. We say, we appreciate you watching,
For
and
sure.
listening. 92.6 The Spot, WKPS. We are out of here.
Peace.